It's my 39th birthday, and I've gathered together a group of 10 to take a day trip to Doylestown, Pennsylvania. The main attraction we are here to see? Fonthill Castle, built by the creative Henry Mercer. To call him creative is an understatement, but our first stop, Moravian pottery and tile works. If you plan to travel to Doylestown, I highly urge you to stay overnight. There is so much to see that you can't possibly fit it into a day trip. At the tile works, you'll see rows of tiles for sale. They're very thick clay tiles like what Henry Mercer used to decorate his elaborate and eccentric castle. I see rich-looking women buying these tiles, but with the high price tag of about $30 a tile, I just won't buy one, especially since I own a kiln and a tile rack. I can just make my own. However, I appreciate the beauty, and I'm excited to take a tour of this factory, especially since I made a day trip here years ago and the factory was closed at the time, unfortunately. Anyways, I patiently wait at the counter for help for what seems like eternity. I'd like to purchase a tour for 10 people. However, a red-headed, stiff woman will not make eye contact with me. It seems that she has a predisposition not to like me, as it appears she is purposely ignoring me as I stand still so patiently. I wait and stare at her. Maybe I didn't look like a spender. The clock is ticking, and I fear we won't be able to go on the tile tour once again, as we have a reservation at Fonthill Castle coming up in about a half an hour. I'm not fond of long drives, so this saddens me. But finally, a sweet woman worker leans from her register over to this one, seeing that I am not being tended to and she does wish to help me. I find out that even though the tours are every half hour, they're 45 minutes long, so we'll not be able to take a tour this time. However, she says that we have the option to skip the movie and then we can still make our tour at Fonthill Castle. I am elated at this point. Our tour will be very soon though. Meanwhile, we take time to study the tiles for sale. My mom finds one with a ferret on it. How cute! I have 2 pet ferrets. I'd definitely like to make some tiles like this and cover my basement wall with various other designs. But the time has come, our tour has been called. We enter the movie room and I snap some pics. The red-headed witchy woman announces, "There will be no photos during the movie." She purposely directs this at me, and I think in my head, well, there's no movie going on right now, and I'm snapping some photos. For goodness sake, I drove this far, and I'm gonna get some photos since there is no photo taking on our next tour at Fonthill Castle. Cut me a break. Well, it gets worse. The room is full of people, but she tells me particularly to sit down, even though there are other adults standing. Wow, just wow. Now keep in mind, I was the quiet good girl in school, and I'm still fairly reserved, patient, and kind. I really don't deserve this. I tell the woman I don't think I can sit down. I was told that we need to skip the movie and go directly on the tour. She says demandingly, "You will watch the movie or you won't go on the tour." Uh-oh, Houston, it looks like we have a problem. So I reply, we were told that we need to skip the movie and go directly on the tour so we don't miss our other tour at Fonthill Castle. Please note that these places are situated very near each other, so like they're related businesses. This lady should care that I might miss a tour at her other related business. But anyways, she's just a worker. To my satisfaction, though, she releases us as captives. It was a blessing, really. We didn't have to look at her or be under her control. We had a self-guided tour of the factory, which was amazing because I could frolic freely like the free spirit that I am. We were in and out in 13 minutes flat. We didn't get to see any workers making tiles, but that's okay. I just went on the YouTube channel when I got home and watched the tour on there. You know, of the tile making. Anyways, my kids' favorite part of the trip was me being hounded by the redhead. They liked to see Mom getting in trouble for nothing, and my husband found it particularly laughable. The reason I was treated this way, though, I think it has to do with the fact that I'm very short in stature and I look childlike. I tend to get in trouble for doing absolutely nothing. One time I got in trouble for pointing at a set of teeth that were found in an outhouse. The collector thought I was a kid who was going to touch his poopy teeth. Well, now, let's stop all this rant. It's time to head to the castle tour. This isn't a typical tour that we are going on. A wonderful man named Dan set up a special tour for our group of 10, and we were able to go through some parts of the castle that are not on regular tours. Since there are no photos allowed at this point, we're going to switch our attention to some drawings. That's right, I brought a sketch pad to jot down some of the more interesting features of the castle. It's going to give me some ideas for redoing my basement and my studio. I know you won't get the full feel of the castle through my sketching. You really have to take things in with your own eyes. Oh, if you go to this place, be careful. Some areas of the castle have tiny doorways and spiral staircases that are enclosed like a capsule of cement that you're trapped inside of. With 10 people in a group, if the top person tumbles, you could all go down like dominoes. Our largest member of the group headed up the rear, and he did catch me one time when I fell backwards. But I'm so lightweight, I don't even think he noticed that I fell backwards. He acted like it didn't even happen, and I just kept on talking. So did he. Now, mind you, I don't think I really would have fallen down the stairs. I think my back foot would have caught me on the step below. But anyways, this is an amazing castle that was built in just 4 years using unskilled labor back in 1908. Just 10 men built this place under the direction of Henry Mercer. Henry got his money from his Aunt Elizabeth and unfortunately didn't have any children of his own due to gonorrhea from his school days. So his maid inherited the castle. Now Henry, he not only collected items from around the world, he contracted diseases from his trips around the world too, including malaria. He didn't have a wife, but he had some lookers. His eccentric personality usually scared them away. Poor Henry. Anyways, this castle is basically made from concrete. Henry liked to stick tiles in the concrete, which makes it really, really cool. That's what makes this place so charming. The stairs, they seem to have no rhyme or reason. Things are very organic, not rigid, much like nature is. This is how I like architecture. Organic and free-flowing. That way, if something would get dinged or nicked, nobody would really notice. I can't stand how modern architecture is so rigid and has so many straight lines. When something is damaged in a house that's like all square and everything, it's really obvious and needs repair, which causes stress in my opinion. Henry had some pottery on display in one room, and it was from 3000 BC. It was held up just by chicken wire at the ceiling. I really like this guy and his style. He's so laid back. Even his bookcases were made of concrete, and he labeled everything so that it could easily be found, and a description could be read in his archives. He liked his doggy, Rollo. He liked Rollo so much that he didn't care if Rollo, the dog, left footprints in wet cement. He actually treasured the impressions and didn't bother getting angry over it. He kept his keys behind a cut-off door in tiny cement slots. Since I love to organize, I really appreciated this feature. A castle like this could not be built today, at least not in the United States. Our rules are so strict that it sickens me. I'd rather fall down Henry Mercer's stairs than have perfect stairs with even rise and widths that meet code. However, there is a downfall to this. My grandma had to wait outside at this part of the tour because of the stairs. And some people got claustrophobic because of the tight quarters. Oh yeah, and when we got to the roof, some people had fear of heights. Anyways, back around 1916, Henry built a bonfire on his roof, and it didn't go over well with the locals. He had to pay off the firefighters with $20 for the false alarm. A roof fire is pretty alarming, you have to admit, but the locals didn't realize that his roof was made from cement. We made our way down to the basement. It smelled musty and could be potentially threatening to someone with asthma. The asthma sufferer in our group made it through without an attack. That was a blessing. It wasn't too bad compared to some other basements I've smelled, though. I saw a concrete column that looked like 3 barrels. Dan, the guide, said that I was absolutely correct. Henry was experimenting with different building methods at the time, but he didn't stick with this method because the wood barrels could only serve as a mold for the concrete one time before being destroyed. So he switched to using wood boards after that. They could be used over and over, which was more realistic, and they were held together with rope or wire, just as my husband and I had suspected. From what I know, each column contained 3 vertical pipes for reinforcement. I like the fact that Henry was willing to experiment and try new things. The arched ceilings were very clever and crude at the same time. To make his vaulted ceilings, he would build up a platform using a few pieces of wood. Then he piled up boxes and covered them with grass. I'm sure he used whatever he had. On top of that, he created a mound of dirt which would serve as the form for the arched ceiling. A layer of sand on top of that served as a nice, smooth, final surface. He often laid tiles in the sand facing downward and poured cement right on top of that. Once the wood, dirt, sand, and other items were removed, the final result was a decorated and elaborate ceiling, which makes the onlooker wonder how he did it. Well, now you know how he did it. And this brings us towards the end of our journey. But before I go, I have a fish story to tell you. We visited a little diner. The special of the day was tilapia. I don't know about you, but I saw a little blurb on Facebook saying not to eat tilapia. The tilapia farmers from China starved tilapia into eating pig and chicken poop. The tilapia is filled with bacteria due to this. Well, I didn't want to ruin anyone's meal, so I kept quiet until my son mentioned smelling manure. Then my mom smelled the manure. Well, it turned out it was her tilapia. Now, my father's tilapia did not smell, and they were different size fish. Did you know that tilapia describes several types of fish? Yeah. My parents were probably eating fish from different places. My mom apparently got fish that was fed poop and, funny enough, smelled like real poop. Yikes. I guess I should have warned them before we ordered, but I thought it was a hoax. It's not. Anyways, try to stick to eating wild fish and not farm-raised. And by the way, happy travels, guys. Thanks for watching.